Hello, dear engineers and professionals. India Workspace Release 2023 for Open Roads Designer is now available. My name is Chaitra, and in this video, I'm going to present the additional features of India Kit Release 2023. And if you're looking for the previous India Workspace release, you can check out our India Workspace for Open Roads playlist. Let's get started. So this release 2023 consists of these new features and I'm going to present each of them. So this release consists of addition of new seed files, the design standards, the templates, super elevation, curve widening table, sheet seeds for cross sections, annotation groups for these sheet seeds, and few new report formats. So before we get started into each of these features, would like to let you know that this workspace release is compatible with the Open Doors Designer versions 10.11.00.115. That is Open Doors Designer 2022 Release 1 and later. So let's begin. Let's begin with our first feature being added, that is a seed file. Seed files are used to standardize all new designs so that every newly created file will have the same working units, color tables, views, etc. as those that are in the seed file. Since most of our Indian projects work with the coordinates of 42N, 43N, and 44N, so considering these UTM zones of 42, 43, and 44 for this India projects, so this release consists of three new 2D seed files and three new 3D seed files with a total of six seed files which are having predefined coordinates to each of the seed files. So users can now pick up the relevant seed file depending upon the project's coordinate that you're working with by creating a new DGN file at the start of the project. So let us now find where can we find the seed files and add it to our DGN file. So for that you can either right click the Open Doors Designer and open the new file. Just type in here Open Doors Designer 2022 release 1 and then open your software. Anyhow is fine. So I'll just right click over here and open my, I'm going to create a new DGN file with the new seed files available over here. So I'll just go ahead and create this. My workspace is India standards. So in order to assign the new seed files, as we used to follow the old procedure of picking up the C2D file and C3D file, the same procedure we need to follow by going under the browse to pick up the seed that you want to assign to your design file, depending upon whether you're working with the 3D file or the 2D file. 3D I meant for the terrain file, and 2D is all the design files that you're working with. So just go and pick in the similar manner. Over here, so whatever you see in the C2D metric design and C3D metric design are the part of the earlier workspace release, which contains a standard metric file settings to both of them. Whereas this, whatever you see in the C2D for 42 and 43 and 44 and contains their respective UTM zones being added. So depending upon your project requirement or the coordinates that you're working with, you could choose accordingly and type of the file that you're working with. So let us consider that I'm working with a design file, not a terrain file. I'll just go and pick that, and my project coordinates may come under the 44N. So I'll just go ahead and pick up that relevant and open that DGN file. Okay, now I'm in my plank DGN file, which we just created using the coordinates of 44n. I'll just go to the coordinate system. You directly now see the coordinates are being predefined to these seed files. So we made it easy for the Indian users, depending upon the type of the zone that you're working with. Just directly select that seed file rather than assigning it later. So you can pick that relevant seed files over here. Moving to the next feature is about the design standards. So what does a design standard help you? So it will help you to assist to monitor and rectify the required curvature and other alignment checks on the horizontal civil geometry and slopes and K values on the vertical geometric elements. So these Indian design standards have been integrated into dgnlib files, and these can be directly used to check your designs. So this release consists of a new design standard, that is a mountainous and steep terrain values of IRC 52 2019. One can find those standards under the um, design standard tools bars of the geometric tab, and you could you can dock it anywhere, and there you get the two drop downs, one for the selection of the speed, which has all the values, radius and the speed that you're going to apply to the horizontal alignment, and another one we have with the respect to your SST, OST and IST values that you want to apply to your alignment. So I'll just go ahead over here. Under this drop down, you have a lot of IRC design standards as a part of this part of the early workspace. So this workspace, what you could find new is about the mountainous and the steep terrain IRC 52 2019. If I further expand it, and you will get it for the different speed, you could, so whichever is relevant to your project, you could apply the relevant speed to your alignment. Let's say I'm just gonna choose the 40 kph and I'll choose it as a SSD. I'll just activate this design standard and I'm gonna set this design standard to the to my alignment. It is asking me to just pick the alignment. I'm gonna pick this and reset to complete. So as soon as I apply, so you see a lot of warning signs and the error signs over here. So this is where the software will help you to monitor, and if you want to rectify it, you could make the changes. Like in this case, where it is saying that arc radius is less than the minimum. As per the standards, what is being mentioned for this IRC code, it is 30 meters. Whatever the actual value that we have provided is 25 meters. So you could simply come over here and make the changes to provide it as a minimum default radius as per the design standards. So as soon as you change the value, um, uh, the warning sign goes off. So these values, if you want, if your length of the project is too long and instead of going and identifying individually over there, we also have the civil message center. So where it will provide you the error and the warning signs and describing what is the error that it is giving. And you could simply go zoom to that location and it will directly zoom to that portion of an element where you want to monitor and rectify it. Not only just this, if you also want to review what are the design standard values that have been used over here, you could simply go to the Explorer tab under the standards of your present dgnlib, so which comes under the design standards. So whatever the design standard is being applied to this particular dgn file is all being listed over here. Right now we have only applied this mountainous and steep terrain. So it will list down all the slope, say, all the speed values. Since we have used, I'll just go ahead and click at the properties of 40 kph. So over here it will give you me the default radius. Minimum radius is 30, default radius is 50. So that's where you can just review the values User also has a flexibility to make or customize the values as per the project requirement over here. Moving on to the next feature we have is the templates. In Open Roads Designer, typical cross sections of roads or TCS are termed as templates. Users can use the templates available in the template library of the India Workspace, that is the civil templates metric underscore IND file. So this is an ITL file. So this ITL file is a collection of templates or template libraries and is shareable. This file has multiple options of divided, undivided, overlay, widening by considering the general typical cross-section arrangement of several Indian road congress codes and manuals. So this release has one new template of Hill Road, that is a Bikember Hill Road template, which we are gonna see now. So before we apply the Hill Road Bikember template to the corridor, let us see where we could find this template. So I'm just going into my template library. So the template library consists of the standard templates, the one with the first release of the India Workspace, the second release of the India Workspace templates. So if I further drop down of both the India folders, so you also get the India components and condition templates. Depending upon the release, you'll find the different types of the templates being created. So this release has that by Hill Road, so that you could be able to see under the 0 to India folder, under the India templates, the Hill Road folder. So you'll find that new road template of LHS, RHS, Hill Road by Camber. So one can review the template by coming to the template window and checking its payment weight slope, or how it is, like if you want to test it with respect to your earthwork slope. So that can all be done within this template window over here. So users can directly make use of this Indian templates for the design of your Indian roads. For any modifications of your lane width, pavement depth, slopes of users can change the label values just by going and clicking to its point properties or the components and making the values as per your project requirement. So they can also make use of the active template and the point features also over here to make the changes at one go, or the parametric constraints we have. So you could make leverage of these active template properties in order to make changes or customize as per your project requirement. Also, if the user wishes to create a new template, then they can make use of this components folder and start creating his own templates. So once you review, you can just close this. I'm just going to apply I already have my corridor created. I'm just going to apply the template drop. So locate the corridor and just going to pick up that Hill Road by Camber template. So my Hill Road template is being created. So this template is built in such a way that, like if you see, notice in the cross section where my RHS is a hillside and LHS is a valley side. So it need not necessarily be that entire project be having a hillside on the RHS and the valley side on the LHS, or vice versa. So there could be a stretches of road where there could be a change from hill to valley side and valley side to hillside. So instead of applying two different templates at that particular location, or going and manually checking where my a hillside or valley side comes, so you could make use of this template, which has a single template built in such a way that based on the conditions applied, it searches for the type of hill on the whichever side it comes, and accordingly the earthwork slope, step slope will be provided on the hillside, and the retaining wall will be provided on the valley side. So as and when I move my cross section chainage. So right now it is showing me whatever on the RHS is the hill and the LHS is the value. So if you also notice, the same thing can be reviewed in your plan view as well as the 3D view. As and when I move from one where my hillside changes, so there you could directly see the cross section or the earthwork or the road elements updated accordingly based on the conditions being given within the template library. So moving on to the next we have is the super elevation feature. Super elevation rule file. User can make use of this rule file which can be applied over any corridor, and it will be applied all along with an automatic calculations based on the radius and speed. So super elevation values provided in the table 4 of IRC 38 1988 is now part of the rule file for this release, and users can leverage it for the super elevation application. Let us now see where we could find out uh, the table method, table values of those IRC 38, how we could review those values and how we could apply those values to a corridor. So for that, we go under the corridor tabs. We have the calculate super elevation file. Under the calculate, edit super elevation file. So there you could simply go and open the India Metrics XML file, and under the tables, which is a part of this release, where you could find out the Emax and E10% based on the considering from the values of Emax of 7% and 10%, the radius values for different design speeds from the table are being taken into consideration, and those radius values are being added over here. So for those radius values, what are the E rate values are being added over here. So one can come and review over here based on different speed. You could come over here, check if you want to make any edits. You could make edits and save that an XML file, or you could save a different copy of an XML file depending upon your customization of your project. So once you're done, you could just close this. And now let's go and apply the super elevation table method to the corridor. I'm just gonna pick up the XML file that I'm gonna apply. Emax 7%, let's say I'm taking a 7%, and if I zoom in to the location over here, you see depending upon the radius values of 1.8, let us take an example over here. I'll just go to this properties and I will make the changes. I'm going to pick up this as 10%, and I'm going to take the transition selection by mountainous crown, and over here I'll select the speed of 40. So you see the super elevation values get changed accordingly based on the values that are being defined in those table values. So let us say now it is right now the radius provided is 300. I'll just go a step back. So we had chosen the 40 speed, where for the radius of 300 it is taking around 2.4%, somewhere between 200 or 2 to 2.5. As we increase the radius, the superelevation values get reduced. Let us consider I'm going to change that value to 200. Let us see what would be the values for this. There you see it is going to take a super elevation of value of 3.6. So if I would take anything radius values between those what is being given in the table, it will interpolate accordingly and give you the super elevation values. Moving for the next feature that we have is the curve widening values. Curve widening, since a design standard of IRC 52 has been added in this release. So whatever the design IRC 52 2019 widening values are also being taken, and those tables have been provided with a file extension of WID. Those are nothing but your widening files extension, which provide you the extra widening at the curve locations if required. Users can even manipulate these widening values by editing these files in a notepad. Just right click and just open it in the notepad. You can review the values of the widening of different IRC codes. If you want to make your own, you could make the values, create those values over here, or edit those values as per your project requirement. However, whatever you see these current values, this comply to the Indian standards. So the curve widening of as per the ISC 52 2019 has been added in this release, where you could see where you will find a widening on the inner curve and the outer curve values are being given over here. So depending on whichever side of the curve that you want to give the widening, so you could make edits accordingly. So you will find you will find those addition of curve widening under the edits of the corridor tab. And I'm gonna pick up this hill road, and there you will find a widening has been created over here. Since I didn't give any transition, that's where you see the sudden spike from the spiral to the curve. Since I gave the value of radius as, let me give, so as you change the value, the widening values depending upon the being given in the table, it changes accordingly. Moving for the next feature for this India Workspace release, we have the sheet seeds and annotation groups for those sheet seeds being created. The sheet seeds helps the user to generate the drawings in sheets which can be directly printed or saved to PDF for the project review and submission. So a total of 8 new variants of cross-section sheet seeds have been added in this workspace for the convenience of the users. So there are totally of four framed annotation and four non-framed annotation groups over here. These are the drawing sheet seeds for the different framed and non-framed of different sheet size over here. And we have this annotation groups which have been assigned to those relevant drawing sheet seeds. So the framed annotation sheet seeds annotation groups consist of the rows or the tabular uh, data of those cross sections of that particular chainage, where you could see the proposed elevation, existing elevation, design, offset, and slope with these hatchings of those cross sections which are being extracted from the templates, and you could see um, the corridor name, the chainage, as well as the datum. This is for the framed, and next one we have for the non-framed, where you don't have in the form of a tabular data. Instead, you have along with these cross-section generated with these offset and the elevation values with the corridor name, and you also get a new for that particular chainage, the cut and fill volume. What is the cut and fill volume of the chainage? In order to assign those different cross-section sheets to the your corridor, so we need to access to the drawing production and the name to the name boundary tab over here. So over here you get the different icons. One is for the plan, one is for the profile, plan profile, and here is for the cross section. Depending upon what type of the cross section sheets, oh sorry, depending upon what type of the sheets that you want to generate, you could pick up on the relevant icons and choose those details. So under the cross section icons, you have the one with the names of ISO with all the framed and non-framed. NF stands for non-framed, are all the part of this workspace release, which contains from A0, A1, A2, A3 for both framed and non-framed. So you pick up anything. So let's say I want to generate a cross section with the framed one of an is for a A0 sheet size, and so in this table shows the details of all the details of all this particular the sheet C that you're generating for this particular sheet size and the selection preferences over here. So users can now find it easy and efficient to use them as it saves the sheet setting, scaling, fitting time. Although the user has the flexibility to change or to customize the values mentioned over here, except for the detail scale, as this is defined to best fit the cross section with respect to those annotation groups being defined. So if I choose A0 framed, let's say this detail scale varies and all the other values depending between the framed and non-framed, you see the values getting updated. So these are being designed best to design so as to best fit with respect to those annotation groups being assigned. So let us now just create one with the A0 framed one where we have. So over here, I'm going to customize, let's say my project does not have 100 offset on the left side. It's just hardly offer 25 meters on the LHS and the RHS. So I'll just, so I have that flexibility to update those values over here. And I just simply come over here and pick up the chainage and give this as A0 framed. And as soon as I click accept it, it will move to the create drawing dialog box where you'll see the annotation group being assigned. So this annotation groups consists of all the setting files, maybe the text height, or what are the tables, or what are the rows that you want to include so as to show in your sheet drawings. So those are all the parts of these annotation groups. So you could go and review by going to its Explorer tab and manage those annotation groups to check, and even you have the flexibility to make any particular changes to this annotation groups. I'll just hit OK. So this is generating me those sheet seeds for this A0 with the offset of minus 25 and 25 on each side. So depending upon the offset value you give, that many number of cross sections may be generated in that particular sheet. So considering a single cross section per sheet, we have given an offset of plus and minus 100 on both the sides. So now if I zoom in over here, so you can, so this annotation group settings consists of the proposed existing elevation with all the values being seen over here with the corridor name, the chainage, and the hatching of those templates taken. So in a similar way, let us create generate the sheet seeds for the non-framed. I shall pick up the one for the non-framed. And change the values of left and right offset. And there you go. You see the one with the non-framed, which has the offset and the elevations with the slopes along the cross section with the chainage details over here. So now moving ahead, in order to check its annotation group properties, all you have to go to its Explorer tab, to its annotation groups that have been assigned. Since we have applied only for the A0, that's where you see one for the framed and one for the non-framed. And if you right click and go to its manage, you will see it's all settings files. Whatever that you could want to make any changes, you could come and do it over here. So moving for the last feature that has been added for this India Workspace release 2023 is the reports. So now the users can generate the reports seamlessly with new report formats, considering the Indian users' way of formats. So these formats have been created. So this release has two horizontal, one vertical, and one corridor report, total consisting of four new reports format over here. So for the horizontal report, all you have to do is go and click on the context menu of the horizontal alignment and click on its report. So which will take to you to the report page. So this is where you will see n suffix with the suffix of ind is all the Indian types of reports that have been created in the last in all the India Workspace releases so far. So if I go under the India Workspace, sorry, under the Civil Geometry India, so under here you have one new type of horizontal data is that is a curve table data. So all the curve details of an of the horizontal alignment can now be generated in the form of a tabular format where it will give you the radius values, type of or the direction of the radius, the transition length, the curve length, the tangent length, the chainages, star chainage, curve chainages, all details can be obtained from this report. So next one we have this northeast curve set data for the same horizontal curve details. If you also want to generate the easting and the northing values of those curve points, so that for that we have this northeast curve set data. So I'll just generate a profile so as to show the difference. So now I'll just open its report format. Now go back to its geometry where I have this vertical alignment, this new type. So where you'll get the type of the element over here, the parabola, linear, the curve, and you'll get the start gradient and the end gradient along with this k value details over here. So next one we have with the corridor report. In order to generate that, we have to go under the civil analysis report. We have this cross-section report. So this depends upon the named boundary that you have created. So I'll just go and choose the one with the A0, the start image. And I just want the top features of that template values to be displayed. So along within this name boundaries that has been created between the changes and start changes and the end changes of that name boundary, you will get all the details with respect to the central line. So you'll get the details with respect from the center line, the elevation, and then next element names and its elevation and the offset values over here. Yes, that was it of all about this India Workspace Release 2023. Hope you leverage the most out of it. We would also love to hear the feedback from you so that we can bring up a more announcement for the next upcoming release. So I shall try to leave a feedback link um, to this video in the description below. So kindly just click on that feedback and just provide us what more enhancement, or that what is that more that you would want us to include as a part of related to the India standards. Yes. Thanks everyone.